I mean, I don't hate The
Jen,
Dark Knight. Let's just get that out here. I don't hate the movie. I
that's
just
the
don't
impression
think
that you're giving me.
It definitely sounds like you hate the movie.
You're listening to the all-new Culture Cast, Chicagoland's finest podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to the all-new Culture Cast. I'm your host, Nick, and with me, of course, is...
The Gorehound reporting from the graveyard.
And Jennifer reporting from my couch.
Yay, we're all back. All right, tonight is a very special episode, but aren't they all? We are going to be talking about the popular, came out a couple of years ago and still running, musical, a first for the show.
Yeah.
The Book of Mormon, by the creators of South Park, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Or is it Trey Stone and Matt Parker? I can't remember.
I don't know.
This is what happened. We are going noteless tonight, people. We are caution to the wind and just kind of winging it as we go along. But
the South Park creators.
yes, the creators of South Park. They wanted to do a Broadway musical. I think it was one of their dreams to do, and they eventually did it in the Tony Award-winning, if I'm not mistaken, Book of Mormon, which has just recently wrapped up another tour in Chicago, which we are all based out of, the Chicagoland area. So
yes.
We will get to that in a moment, but let's talk about our talk about our weekly topics. What have we been watching, if anything? Jennifer, go.
All right, well, I saw Kubo with the Two Strings last night, which is a new animation by the same people who did the Box Trolls 2 years ago. I think they're called, Luca Films or something. And I have to say, I saw the Box Trolls for my Oscar death race, and I super hated it. Like, I just hated the animation style. I thought it was gross to look at, which can really make it hard to focus on, like, the movie. But I will say, Kubo with the Two Strings was gorgeous. Like, this was the kind of thing
better than Avatar gorgeous?
Yes, like better than Avatar gorgeous. Like so basically there's this kid and he's got like this magic guitar for some reason, and anyway, so what he uses his magic guitar to do is to make like origami shapes dance. This is all set in like ancient Japan. And he uses the magic guitar to like make origami like dance and move and do all sorts of things, and then basically his mother is killed by some distant relatives, and he has to go on a quest to fix everything. And anyway, the animation style is gorgeous. The sequences are just really cool. I guess some of it's puppets, some of it's animation. I don't really know how they do it. I assumed the whole thing had been animated, but then at the very end, they show you during the credits, they show you there's this one scene where you get this like skeleton monster that attacks them. And so they show the building of the skeleton monster, which I guess is a giant puppet. It was really cool. So anyway, yeah, two thumbs up, would definitely recommend. Probably worth seeing in theaters. Like I thought it was that interesting. So that is what I've seen this week.
So you would recommend it?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. And I think, I don't think all movies need to be seen on the big screen, but I'd say something like this, when it's sort of gorgeous and epic, is definitely worth it.
Okay. What about you, Gorehound?
Oh, I have been catching up. Not with horror movies, but with movies in general. I've watched 4 movies since we last spoke. But most notably, I saw Yoga Hosers on the...
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that last time. What's your verdict? I was saddened that you didn't have a review on the blog.
Oh my gosh, I've been wanting to write something, but I don't know, I've just fallen out of it because I'm just loving the podcast so much. But yeah, critics are hating it, and I can see why, because if you're not really a Kevin Smith fan, it kind of just falls flat and you don't really catch any of the references. But I do, because I listen to him so much and I've got such a man crush on him. So there was that. But yeah, I went to the early release party on the Tuesday before it was released, thinking that it would be something notable. But it really wasn't. And I don't think I would go to an early release again, because there wasn't anything besides the movie. There was like half hour of talking beforehand, before the show. But it was just a whole bunch of stories that I've already heard before. So it really wasn't a unique experience for me. And the theater was like 10% filled, so there wasn't really like much hype I felt like in the theater. So it was a shame. But I mean, regardless, I loved it. It was so great to see another Kevin Smith movie because I watch his movies quite frequently. Other ones I watched were The Perfect Host. I kind of just picked that out on random. Have you heard of that one? It's got not Frasier.
Kelsey Grammer.
Is Kelsey Grammer Frasier?
Yes.
Yep. For 22 years.
Okay, it was somebody else that looks like Kelsey Grammer, but it's just some thriller movie that I've been wanting to see. And I finally watched that, and it was about as good as I expected it to. I'm not sure if I would recommend it to anybody, but I'm glad that I finally saw it. We saw The Secret Life of Pets in theaters.
Oh, how was that?
The girl liked it, and that's pretty much as I can say. I didn't really care for it because it was, I think it was targeted towards like 6-year-olds, and just a lot of, I just felt like it was a really long YouTube video that was just going nowhere for me. Some Sex Ed, I watched that one. That's on Netflix, and I've been really wanting to see that. That's got Haley Joel Osment in it, and I wanted to watch it.
Like young Haley Joel Osment or recent Haley Joel Osment?
Like recent Haley Joel Osment.
Is he fat in that one?
He's as attractive as he was in Tusk. Let's just say that.
I feel like he's really ballooned up surprisingly over the years.
Yeah, he is not looking.
I feel like
too
I have
pretty.
to look this up now.
Oh, do it. It's worth it because all of his photos are just him being a Nazi and yoga hosers on the internet right now.
Okay, let's see.
But yeah, I really like that one. That was.
He does not carry his weight well.
But he's got a mustache, so that's cool, right?
I wouldn't say that fixes it.
He looks kind of like a pedophile.
Yeah, but he's a cool guy. Yeah, those are the 4 movies that I watched this week, and I'm hoping to catch up. I also finished the Shape of the Final Dog book. I had mentioned I was reading that a while ago, right?
Sure.
Okay.
I have no recollection.
Okay, well, The Shape of the Final Dog is written by the same person who wrote Blade Runner, the screenplay for Blade Runner, who is also either directing or writing the sequel to it. And
Blade Runner 2?
Yes. And I read somewhere that he is taking inspiration from his book, Shape of the Final Dog. And so I wanted to see if I could get like any glimpse into the new one. And I really hated the book. It's a collection of short stories, and all but the last one I really had any affinity for, because it was only the last one that had any connection to Blade Runner or the Blade Runner universe. And so it was kind of disappointing because I thought that this entire book was going to be all about, Blade Runner 2, but only the final story was. And the final story was Blade Runner-esque, but I really wish I knew that before going into the book.
Okay.
So.
Very cool. Me, nothing. I've been too busy with other things.
What have you been busy with?
Bills and real, life problems. Not life problems, but life issue things. I don't know.
School.
Nothing's on TV. I don't have time to watch movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I just haven't been watching anything.
Get your priorities in line, man.
I know.
No,
Mario?
Mario?
I've been playing that with the bride, yeah. but it's Mario. That's about it, really. Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking forward to. I'm happy now that we are officially in spring. I'm sorry, in fall.
We're not.
I love the fall season.
I was about to say.
Wait, isn't it the 22nd?
Yeah, but we're past Labor Day. It's fall, in my opinion, has begun. The school year's begun. Football season will begin. Which, well, I'm not the biggest football guy. My wife is, and it's fun watching the games with her. But even before we even knew each other, I always liked the idea that it's football season. That means fall begins. It makes up the character that is fall, and it's my favorite time of year. Fall to Christmas.
Yeah.
September, October, November, December. I love it. Love it all.
I think we can all get behind you on that one.
I'm excited about that. The school year's just begun a couple of weeks back, and students are back, and things are happening there, and it's good stuff. Good stuff. But anyway, do you have a male crush of the week, Gorehound?
Haley Joel Osment. Not
What
even.
was that?
What?
That sounded
just
like a
heard-
dog in the background.
Yeah, it
well,
sounded
that was my dog. He was
Yeah.
shaking.
Oh, okay.
So my dog recently had hernia surgery, and he's got a cone, which he does not like.
Ooh.
So he shakes a lot normally, but now he shakes a lot noisily because he has a cone on his head.
Gotcha.
I think he was just getting excited over Haley Joel Osment. He was like, yeah.
Well, once he saw the pictures of him, like, really chubby, but with the perv mustache, he was like, yeah, that guy.
That's his jam.
Absolutely. And all of our jams, really.
Well, touche. Speaking of jams, I guess we should mention this before we get any further here, is Gorehound, you're going to be a special guest on Thor's Hour of Thunder.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And he they're doing a horror movie themed, I think, like next 2 months. And they asked if I wanted to provide anything or contribute, and I was like, yeah. So my first pick was Cemetery Man, because, as you know, that's I think that might be my favorite horror movie of like all time. And
I remember you showed me it years ago, back at Eastern.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I was like, how can this movie be hitting every single mark? And I loved it. So yeah, we will be talking about that recording this weekend, and I'm not sure when he'll be putting that out, but you can bet it, you will be hearing more about that.
Well, when it eventually goes live, we'll throw a link up at the blog so people can venture out to listen to the Gorehound on another show.
Yeah.
So our first crossover, I would imagine.
Oh my gosh, we are on the rise here.
Basically, we're This American Life at this point, right?
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a phone call from PBS, or I'm sorry, NPR. both probably. NRA, all of them, for us to get a spot, get a legit gig. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's jump into the meat and potatoes of tonight. We are talking about the Book of Mormon, which is the comedy musical by the creators of South Park. Before we get into more detail, we've all seen it. Can we talk about our history with the show, like when we first saw it and everything and whatnot? Jen, how about you go first? I think you have the biggest history with the show of all of us.
Right, in that I've seen it twice. So it came to Chicago 2012, 2013. And I saw it then. It starred Ben Platt, who's from the Pitch Perfect movies. He played Bendy. And some other guy. And I will say I did pull up the Wikipedia page on this just to make sure I knew which tour I'd seen. And then I saw it again last year. So the first year I saw it, my friend and I got sort of shitty seats. But then during the second act, we moved up to way better seats. So that was awesome.
How do they not catch you?
It's totally fine as long as you do it after the first act is over. Like, if you haven't shown up to your seats by then, like, you're not coming back. You're not coming. So... so they didn't catch us, and, I don't want to, like, overstate this, but we're, like, adorable young white people, so, like, we're not going to get in trouble for anything. And then that same friend and I saw it again last year when it came back to Chicago, I think as part of the touring cast. And this time we could touch the back of the theater. Like, it was at the Bank of America Theater, which probably means nothing to non-Chicagoans, but it's, there's, like, 4 levels of audience, and we were... on the fourth from the top, and we were basically touching the back of the theater. So,
for those of you, for those of you who are theater fans, the Bank of America Theater no longer exists. It's now called the Private Bank Theater. They did
that's right.
They did an ownership change earlier this year or late last year. I'm not sure when it actually went down.
It'll still be Bank of America Theater to me.
So anyway, and other than that, I mean, I have the soundtrack, and I did re-listen to it this afternoon just to prepare for the podcast. So.
Oh, you own the soundtrack?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I believe my first and only digital purchase on Amazon from 2000. Before I'd seen the show, I wanted to know why everyone was very excited, and I don't know how to illegally download things.
Yeah. So you legitimately listen to musicals in your free time? You would say?
Yeah, growing up, I loved doing theater, and I definitely I don't know all the musicals by any means. I mean, I have a friend of mine, my friend Allison knows every single musical that's ever happened, as far as I can tell. I definitely don't know that many, but the ones I think a lot of kids who do theater in high school go through like a Sondheim phase. Stephen Sondheim.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like really into the Woods and Sweeney Todd and a lot of his like really dark, crazy musicals, and I think all theater kids go through a Les Mis phase. It's probably insufferable. But so I wouldn't say I know all musicals, but I'd say the musicals I have watched, I know pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gorham, when did you first see the show?
I think it was maybe 2 years ago. I should preface that I think this may have been like the third legitimate play or musical that I've ever seen. I don't really do a whole lot of this live theater performances, even though I really do appreciate them. Yeah, I mean, it was a really good time. We saw it on a very, very cold December night 2 years ago, and yeah, it was fantastic at the Bank of America Theater with the Graveyard Queen, and she absolutely loved it, and I loved it too. I think I really liked it because it was, for a number of reasons, but I was most excited about it because it was the creators of South Park, and so I knew it was going to be edgy. And when I think of musicals, I think of just like a whole bunch of like emotional stuff happening, and I kind of
You're not wrong.
And I kind of wanted something more like South Parkish, and so they really fused that together.
If you like stuff that's edgy and with musicals, if you ever have the opportunity, I don't know if you'll ever come to Chicago anytime in the near future, but I highly recommend Avenue Q, which is a musical with puppets a la Sesame Street, but really, really warped and disturbing. It's hilarious. I won't say much from the show, but to give you an example, there's a scene of hardcore puppet sex.
Yeah, there you go.
The show. It's amazing what they were able to pull off with that. So, highly recommend if you ever have the opportunity to see that.
Yeah,
Jen, have you seen Avenue Q?
I've never seen it, but I have listened to the soundtrack, and it's very funny, very, very witty. I think my favorite song from that is "Everybody's a Little Bit Racist," because and I think they also make fun of English majors, which is always funny.
Yeah. I think what's the song? I want to go back to college or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I haven't listened to that in ages, but I think it's pretty good. Does that mean you've seen it live?
Me?
Yeah.
I have, yes. About 8 or so years ago, I was living in Central Illinois, and St. Louis, one of the theaters down there, I don't remember which one, was showing the show, and a couple of us went to go and see it, and it was time well spent.
Mm-hmm.
Was that in your time in Effingham?
It was.
Yeah. Have you switched it to Central Illinois from Effingham now?
Well, I figure I say Effingham, no one is going to know where that's at, so I say Central Illinois, and people might have a general idea.
Okay.
I believe they call that not Chicago.
Yeah, not Chicago. Anything below I-80 is not Chicago.
Yeah.
It's Southern Illinois, according to Chicago. Anyway, going back to the Book of Mormon. So I first saw it actually a few weeks ago. It was a birthday gift to my bride, and we got good seats. We were not able to touch the wall. We're actually on the mezzanine level, which is in the first row in that. So we had pretty good view of the whole thing, and it was a lot of fun. Well, it was a little side story. I know my bride was really excited about wanting to see the show. We were unable to see it the last time it was in Chicago. So when I saw it was coming back, I'm like, oh, this would be a great, she'd love to go see. I'll get good seats. She's going to love this. We'll have a great day out in the city. And so when I gave her the gift, she opened it like, oh, okay. And very much not the reaction I was expecting. I'm like, oh, did you not want to see it? Like, oh, no, I'm really excited. Why? It's like, well, you're kind of like lukewarm in your reaction. Like, oh, no. Like she was thinking of something else or whatever. But I always was always amused by that. And I still give her some crap about that as we speak. Yeah. So
I think I actually got it as a gift for the Graveyard Queen also. So
your move, Jen. Who did you give it as a gift to?
Well, I went with a friend, and I paid my own way. So I would say no one bought me any presents. But that's okay. That's okay. Maybe next time,
It's because you have no friends.
That literally, I just said I went with a friend. I mean, I guess I don't have proof I went with a friend, but, like, I feel like I should, like, the record should show I have at least one friend.
Well, we'll see. We'll come back to that topic later on. So,
definitely.
Opinions of Book of Mormon: good, bad, or in between?
Well, I think everybody loved it. Like,
yeah.
I haven't heard any bad reviews, and even like Mormons don't have a whole lot wrong with it.
Because Mormons don't get angry about anything. They don't.
I mean, they definitely they buy a page in the program. You've seen the play, now read the book.
Read the book. That was
hysterical.
When I first was looking at the program, I'm like, oh, are those like fake ads that, because it seems like that's a very South Park joke to have in there.
Yeah.
And then I read later on that, no, that's actually the Church of Mormon. They bought those ads. I'm like, really? Well, okay, they have a sense of humor. Good, good on them. Yeah, this show was really funny. I enjoyed it.
I also forgot to mention that on our trip there, we used our first Uber ride because it was like one of the coldest days of the year. And so because we got a hotel that was like 20-minute walk north, and even on the coldest day, I was like, I don't want to do this. And so we got our first Uber ride, and it was fantastic. So,
you've never gone back.
So go Uber.
To like anything. Yeah, there you go. One of the things I noticed about the show is, maybe because I haven't listened to the soundtrack the way you have, Jen, but I don't feel the songs were super memorable. At least I wasn't like leaving the theater, tapping my toe, like, or humming a theme or something. Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
no, I kind of disagree, because I think that the songs were the most memorable part, and that the story was kind of second tier to the songs, because I felt like it was very in line with Team America, the other production by the same creators, Trey Parker, whatever, where the story kind of falls flat, but the songs are just like what stand out. Yeah, because I remember seeing it, and I felt like the story wasn't enthralling to me, but the songs were. Yeah.
So here, I think I'm going to go ahead and split the difference between you two here. I'll say, so on re-listen, so, this isn't something I listen to on like a daily basis or anything. And so, like, over the past few years, I'd say, there's a couple songs that I've re-listened to because they're good. So the 3 or so that I've re-listened to is the opening number, which is Hello, when they're singing about, we have this book for you. There's I Believe, which is kind of the showstopper number. And then there's, what's it called? Turn It Off, which is when all the guys are singing about, like, turning off their emotions, right? Yeah. So these are 3 songs that are very good. And now listening to the rest of them, I think, like, in the context of seeing the show, they're really good. They're good songs, but I wouldn't say they're the kind of things that necessitate like a lot of re-listens. Specifically, so in the original Broadway cast recording, you've got Josh Gad as Elder Cunningham, the annoying one, and so he does this like fake teenager, who's like, can't quite like take care of his vocalization. He's kind of like, doing that like goofy nerd voice, and which is very funny in the theater, but it's also really annoying to listen to when you're just like, listening to it at work. So I think it's one of those cases where, they wrote a couple very good songs, and then they wrote a couple songs that move the plot along, that have some good jokes, but I'd say a lot of what really sells it is stuff that's happening on stage in addition to those jokes.
Yeah, I can see that. I kind of feel that way about the musical Wicked, which is a show that I was really pumped to see, and then I listened to the soundtrack and all that. Then I saw it, and I was like, oh, okay. But
wait,
like
Nick,
the first.
Do you listen
Yeah.
to soundtracks?
I used to more so a couple of years ago. I haven't in more recent times.
Okay.
So, like, not to be a pedantic nerd here, but like, just for the record, it's original Broadway recordings rather than soundtracks. Soundtracks are movies.
Oh, true.
I-
Jen, that is why
I don't
you
know
are
why I have
here.
to tell you that.
You bring the theater element to this podcast. Thank you.
I'm so glad I spent all this time with this skill for this. I mean, we're gonna have to do more theater shows. Like,
I'm down.
mandatory.
I used to do theater. I in high school, and then
Yeah, Earthman.
Earthman. Yeah, when I taught high school, I was our theater director at the small high school that I taught at, and I think that was the height of my listening to cast recordings. I collected quite a few at the time, and by collected I mean burnt copies of it. But
Right.
we talked about the story that Gorehound, you didn't feel was all that enthralling. Let's go over that story a little bit for those who may not be too familiar with it. The story of the Book of Mormon deals with two Mormon missionaries who could not be any different from one another. Elder Cunningham, who is a nerdy and pathological liar, and Elder Price, who is sort of like the star pupil. And of course, they're an odd couple, so they're naturally paired together, and they're sent to, of all places, Uganda.
Yeah, because that is what like this Mormon thing is in the church, is that you get paired up with somebody and then you go do like a year or two of missionary work, and then like you're a full-fledged Mormon. Is that right?
I don't think it makes you a full-fledged Mormon, but yeah, they are 2-year missions, and especially for guys, they're basically like mandatory.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you get kicked out, but like people will call you a bad Mormon.
I think again, my knowledge of Mormonism is limited, but I think it's like if you want to work for like the church, like this is their chosen career field, and so they have to go. A part of that is that they do their missionary. I think you could be like a normal or a regular Mormon, like you go to services, but then you can go and be, I don't know, like a school teacher, and you don't have to do your missionary work unless you want to. But I don't know. If there are any Mormons out there who want to correct that, feel free to send us an email. We'll be happy to address it on the show.
Email number 2.
Yeah. So these guys, they go to Uganda, and that was the first thing. I had no idea what the show was about other than Mormons.
Yeah.
And I was so
That's all you need to
thrown.
know, man.
Yeah, it's true. I was so thrown when the setting was going to be in Uganda. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting this at all. And it was a pleasant surprise. So they go to this like kind of lousy village where half the village has AIDS and other awful diseases, and a nearby warlord is trying to take control. And Elder Price gets constantly discouraged, whereas Elder Cunningham, using his over imagination and his skill for lying, starts to able to convert a lot of the locals into Mormonism, even though he made up good portion of the actual Book of Mormon because he had never read it. So hijinks ensue from there on out. Is that a good summary?
It's a good summary.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are our thoughts on this? You didn't find it to be too enthralling, Gorehound. What about you, Jen?
I mean, I think it's a pretty, standard narrative structure. I mean, they're not reinventing the wheel here or anything, but, I mean, guy expects one thing, gets another thing, has to work together to make thing occur. I'd agree that that's a pretty standard narrative there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's, so I have not watched South Park since I was like 13.
Oh my gosh, it still holds up. Like I took it.
Now I just remember, so like literally this is a thing I remember, is that we were supposed to find out who Cartman's mom was, or Cartman's dad was, and then we didn't find out who Cartman's dad was, and then after that I was like, I really got to like get ready for the 8th grade dance, like, and I just never quite got back to ever watching it,
I took like a 2-year hiatus from watching it, and I just like jumped back in when I was spending a lot of time in hotel rooms for a job. I started watching it again. And I was like, this really holds up. It's got a lot of social commentary on it that I find more relevant now as an adult. Yeah, I think it's still a legitimately good show.
Yeah. But I mean, I think what they do is, like I said, standard narrative, but it's, it's got it's like really densely packed with jokes. A lot of like, you've got your kind of like nerd humor as to what Elder Cunningham brings into the religion. It's all Yoda and all of that.
Yes, they had cameos by not Star Trek people and not Darth Vader, and I use the word "not" because it's like close enough where you know what it is, but far enough away where they can't get sued.
Perfect. Right, and right. So you've got all of that, so that's great, and then they've got a lot of like facts about the Mormon Church. So I'm not Mormon, but I've done a lot of research into Mormons because I think they're fascinating and also like really hot. So,
like really attractive.
Yeah, like if you ever see like
Mormons
guys
going,
walking around in that like Mormon uniform on their missions are like really cute. And I'll tell you, like the Jehovah's Witnesses visit me on a fairly regular basis. I've never seen them, but I see their business card in my door sometimes on Saturday mornings. But the Mormons never stop by, and it's very disappointing.
Go to Utah.
It's been on my list of things to do. It's just kind of one of those things that, anytime I thought about actually doing it, I was like, I don't really have anything to do here other than, walk around looking for Mormons. And I mean, the thing is, most of the time they're dressed like normal people. It's just when they're on their missions that they're dressed in that like Mormon uniform I find attractive. And they're not in that Mormon uniform in Utah because you don't need to convert anyone in Utah,
That's why they send them to Uganda.
I've thought about this a lot, guys.
That's awesome, Jen. I've never
Obviously.
even thought that anybody could have like a thing for Mormons, but man, that's awesome.
Absolutely. It's the kind of private thing I only tell people if I've been drinking or bored, so.
Well, now that you mention it on the podcast, it will go out to the internet, and our audience of one will know all about it. So
we have 10 loyal listeners, right?
Hey, we're gonna do what we can. I think if you advertise it as, girl thinks about, attractive men or something, I think we can get a few next. More. Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that I noticed about the story, to getting back on topic, is that it's a very standard structure. I guess I was expecting a little bit more out of it. I don't know what, though. Like, when I see a musical, I feel like the story needs to be epic and big. And it was very, very standard. And that was surprising, also coming from Parker and Stone there. But I don't know. That's just me.
It's a very focused story, right? Because you're focusing on like these two guys and this one very small village. And really, of that, really one girl in the village, as opposed to, if you think of like a Les Mis, that's about all of France, basically. Or, other musicals can have, I think, bigger scopes, definitely.
The couple of things I noticed about the story that left me sort of scratching my head, and this is something that when I've written things, I always struggle with resolutions sometimes, in that I didn't like the way the Warlord storyline was wrapped up. I felt it was very anticlimactic, where he just said, "Oh, I'm going to turn you into a lesbian," and then he's, "Okay, I'll stop being a Warlord now then." It's like, really? Oh, okay.
I have no memory of that.
Yeah, what happened?
The Warlord was going in to invade the village, Price and Cunningham sort of drive the Warlord guy away by saying that the power of Christ will be there because Christ is undead like a zombie, and then Christ will turn him into a lesbian. And he's like, "Oh, I gotta get out of here," and then he runs away. I don't know, something tells me like a hardened Warlord, even in a heightened, goofy world such as this show, wouldn't necessarily be spooked by that. It just it did not ring true to me. I mean, I guess they had to resolve it somehow, but just seemed sort of hand-waved problem away. This is just me being nitpicky, I suppose.
No, I mean, right. The problem is when you're, trying to make a comedy anything, and you're trying to work within something that is actually like real and terrifying in real life. I guess if there was a good way to resolve it, I think they would have done it already, and there wouldn't be any more warlords.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, I don't know how I would have resolved that plot line, and like I said, I have no memory of that being the way it was resolved in the play. I guess I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah. It was just weird. I mean, the way they built up his threat, that it was just so easily defeated. But I don't know. That could be a discussion for another day. So,
Nick, what was your favorite part about this? Like, what made this Book of Mormon so great to you?
Cunningham was such an enjoyable character.
Yeah.
The show that I had seen it wasn't by Josh Gad, but you could clearly tell the actor was trying to emulate him. And he was such a likable dork.
Who is Josh Gad?
Josh Gad is an actor. You'll know him if you see him. He was the voice of Olaf in Frozen. Okay. He was in the Adam Sandler Pixels movie.
That one did
he's
good,
been in
right?
a bunch of that one. I don't know. I don't know how it did box office wise, but looked like it was a piece of shit.
Yeah, it failed.
But he's one of those things like, oh, that guy, I recognize that guy from a couple of things.
He was in The Wedding Ringer. I never saw that, but I feel like the commercials were on TV a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, is that with Kevin Hart?
Yeah, the Kevin Hart, and he needs a best friend. For a wedding to be his best man. Like I said, never saw it, but I would say those previews played 9 million times.
You're probably right on that. It was definitely going for like that vibe. And he's such a fun character, and that how his lies just kind of snowball into bigger lies and bigger lies and bigger lies. And it's when they give like the show about the formation or the founding of Mormonism to the heads of the Mormon Church is absolutely hilarious because it's so ridiculous and so over the top. And I also enjoyed quite a bit the other guy, the
Elder Price.
Elder Price. Only in so much though that the guy who played him, he reminded me the way he was dressed. Well, obviously the way he was dressed, but the way he had his hair and the way he acted and the way he presented himself reminded me of Trey Parker's role in the movie Orgasmo, where he played a Mormon who later became a porn star. Very funny movie. See it if you haven't. But
maybe for that storyline.
Yeah, the main actor was, I felt like, had an uncanny look to Trey Parker. I don't know if that was intentional or just coincidental, at least in the version that I saw. And it was one of those things I couldn't stop thinking about. So, and their interaction was also very, very good. So I think that's what hooked me into the show. That and the Hell Dream.
I don't recall.
Yeah,
that.
see, that's another Spooky Mormon Hell Dream is like fun to watch, but yeah, as a song it doesn't work as well. It's when he has the dream about
because he wanted to quit.
He wanted to quit, right? And so he thinks he's going to go to Spooky Mormon hell, I guess. And so they have on the set, the stage is all red, and they've got devils dancing around, but it's also stuff that Mormons hate. Like there's like a dancing fake Starbucks cup because of course they don't drink coffee.
Oh,
and,
right.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I think that may be also where maybe like Darth Vader shows up and some other characters.
Yeah, did Darth Vader show up there? I thought he showed up later on in a different song that Elder Cunningham sang.
Maybe when he's singing his like fake lies about how the.
I bet that's what it was. But there was a lot of things that popped up during that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Spooky Mormon Hell, that was pretty good. Like a show is very, very visually good. It has a lot of spectacle to it, which I really, really appreciated.
Yeah.
Gorhan, what kept you glued into the show?
There were just a lot of things that were just connecting with it. the songs really brought the entire thing together. The interaction between the Mormons and their views on life kept it exciting and new. Because I used to talk with a lot of Mormons, and like Jen, I think it's really interesting their beliefs on everything. I mean, like the magical underwear and the golden tablets. It's all really interesting, and I like that it's not a mockery of Mormonism, but it's more of a commentary on it, and it's still pretty respectful. It's not like saying all Mormons are assholes and stupid. It's saying it's got a lot more respect to it, and honesty.
It's definitely not mean. It's definitely not mean-spirited.
Right.
No.
I mean, it's certainly not for like a 6-year-old or like a 8-year-old growing up in a Mormon family, while their thoughts are still being. Because I mean, at some point you have to realize that okay, that's what everybody else is thinking about this religion that I adhere to, and it just makes you think about how ridiculous it is, even though you may conform to it. So yeah, I found that to be the most intriguing part of this that kept me glued to it, other than the fact that it was like a live action South Park episode.
I mean, I think whenever you've got a religion, there's stuff about it that if you are not in it is going to sound very goofy to outsiders. So I think the best parts are kind of when they're just saying things that are true about the religion.
Yeah.
And they just sound funny because we're not Mormon,
I like the flashbacks in the show that talked about the formation of the Mormon Church, with John Smith, and I think Jesus showed up, and
Joseph Smith.
Yeah, him too. Yeah. John Smith is the unsung hero that most people don't know about, but
okay.
Yeah, it's true story. So I like those flashbacks there, and especially how otherworldly they kind of were, because I don't know if you guys noticed this when you saw the show, but the people who were playing like John Smith, Joseph Smith, oh my god, I can't believe I'm doing that, who played Joseph Smith and the other people that were in the flashbacks, they were mouthing their lines, and the audio track was playing the actual dialogue, which made it sound more deeper and heavier in the sense that the gravitas that has to go with it, which I thought was a nice little touch to those scenes. Good job on that. So would we recommend the Book of Mormon to people to go and see it if they haven't already, since the show's been around for 5-6 years now?
Yeah,
hands down. I think.
And if you're Mormon, you should tell us what you think about it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, because the creators did such a great job with it. I mean, this is winning awards all over, or it was winning awards all over the place, and there was nobody who didn't like it. So yeah, if somebody had the opportunity to, is it still going on? Do you know?
I think it closed, at least in Chicago. I don't know where it's at right now.
Okay, but yeah, hands down recommend it, and let's see a sequel or something else from the creators.
Book of Mormon 2, Mormon, I don't know, Electric Boogaloo.
Mormon Strikes Back.
Yeah, Mormon Strikes Back. Well, they didn't start. It was implied they started their own religion at the end there. The Book of what's his face?
The Book of Cunningham, right?
It was either the book. What was his first name?
Book of Arnold.
Yeah, that was it. The Book of Arnold.
I only remember this because I listened to the soundtrack this afternoon.
Jen, I believe they call it live cast recording, not a soundtrack.
Okay, no, I deserve that.
Yeah, I preparing for the podcast, I tried listening to a few songs today during my work day, and after the third song on YouTube, I just felt kind of weird because I don't ever listen to like musicals or like songs like this during my normal like daily routine, and after the third song, I felt kind of weird about it because I don't ever do it. Though off subject, I should recommend, there was an awesome podcast, Girl on Guy, the Aisha Tyler.
Hey.
From Archer?
Yeah.
Aisha Tyler?
Yeah, she does this fantastic podcast that she dropped down to like one a month, but she just released one with Travis Fimmel, the lead actor from Vikings, and it was really good. It was live from Comic-Con, but I was like totally enthralled in that. So, if you're looking for a good podcast, other than All New Culture Cast Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about the Mormons and South Park, I highly recommend checking out the South Park episode titled All About the Mormons, where they lampoon Mormonism left and right. Clearly, the creators of South Park have a affinity for Mormonism because I feel like it pops up a lot in their work.
Mm-hmm.
But the Mormon episode is excellent because it goes deeper into the Mormon origins and how goofy they actually are. But like the Book of Mormon, it's actually respectful and not... It satirizes it without being mean-spirited. So that's my plug for that.
Cool.
So I don't have any trivia this week, so that's going to be in place of my trivia.
Oh, man. Nick, 2 weeks in a row.
Well, last week we had the email, so...
Hey, no excuses, no excuses.
I've been busy this week. I'm sorry.
Right. Well,
I'm sorry, Gorehound.
Next week, if you come back with 3 trivia questions, you will be paid up. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up here. I guess. I think. Does anyone have any other final thoughts on the Book of Mormon?
So there's a if you look up the Tony Awards from 2012 with Andrew Reynolds. He's the original Elder Price, and he does I Believe on stage at the Tonys, and it's phenomenal. So I think people should check that out.
Cool.
Gorehound, do you have any final thoughts?
I do not.
I don't really have anything else other than it's a fun show. If you know South Park, you know the type of humor you're getting yourself into, this show won't disappoint. All right. Well, let's wrap it up here. Thank you, everyone, for doing this. This is our 41st episode.
Coming up to 50.
I know. We should do something special for number 5, for the big 5-0.
Live performance.
There are podcasts that can do that. I have no idea how to, and I choose not to learn. But so we'll get to that. We're probably about a month or two away from the big 5-0, so we'll do something fun. That'll probably be in like October or November.
Yeah.
Probably November. But anyway, all right, let's wrap it up. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Adios.
See you next time.
You've been listening to the all-new CultureCast, where every episode is all new. Check out our blog, Zach and Nick's CultureCast, at znculturecast.wordpress.com, and find us on social media. Send us an email at nick.culturecast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback, comments, and requests. Theme music by bensound.com. The all-new CultureCast, a Saltwater production, copyright 2016.